There.
Right here.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Oh, why is your picture
Is
on
your
there?
volume on?
Why is your picture on there?
I don't know. Close it.
I don't know if you can see me.
Don't worry, I'm getting set up over here too. Getting all my settings correct and
You must be Jim.
yep, I'm Jim.
Hello, Jim. I'm Rick Whitson. I emailed you the other day.
Oh, I gotcha. I see that. Okay, cool. It's good to meet you.
It's good to meet you. My pleasure, sir.
Yeah, thanks for emailing me. It's always really good to hear from studio users what they're looking for, and I mean what I say when we're doing our best to take it into consideration, and yeah, get us going whenever we can. There's a lot going on at the library, like other than the studio, so it's just kind of working it into the overall plan. So I'm doing my best for you.
Great.
I'm gonna get some of my settings set up here. Okay. So can you hear me and see me well?
I can. It's good. It's a good connection.
Nice. This mic is working. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Looks like Daryl is joining us.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, how are you doing?
Groovy. How about yourself?
Good. Always good to have you join one of our programs here.
Hey. I don't know why my camera ain't working, but it ain't, so
Okay. Well, it's no big deal.
nah.
I'm just making sure I have all my ducks in a row and all my windows pulled up that I want to show everyone. While we're waiting.
Yeah.
Sorry, Daryl, were you saying
Go ahead.
something?
No, go ahead.
While we're waiting, does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss? Any specific questions? I mean, you can ask questions obviously along the way, but kind of getting a sense of what people are looking to get out of it. Anything
Well, I think
specific?
just what I had mentioned to you earlier. I just wanted to at least get discussion rolling, and obviously you were already planning on doing that towards finding a way to make the studios available to the public again.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, if I just want to mention, if we come up with some possible ways to do it, and you want a band to be the guinea pig and try it out, I know one.
Okay. Yeah, definitely keep you in mind with that thoughtful email because, yeah, it would be, yeah, we might need that. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have too many specifics, and I'll probably get to that a little bit kind of later in the presentation this evening, so we can chat about it just for a second right now. Yeah, like I mentioned in the email, the whole first floor is closed right now because mostly what the first floor contains is the meeting rooms, which won't be active for like 30 people in one room. And then the computer lab, which is usually pretty contained in like a glass room. And so we have the computer lab spread out in the auditorium right now with like a limited amount of computer stations. So mostly what happens on the bottom floor is very congregational type stuff, like computers right next to each other and meeting rooms. And so the studio is the only other thing really downstairs. There's the local history room too, but the studio is also downstairs. And so what we have right now are about 30 tables of library books that are just stacked up. And what we do is we can quarantine them for 4 days. It's quite the process. I'm sure that there are some people that might not be afraid of catching a virus off of a book after 4 days, but right now we're or quarantining them for 4 days. So the bottom floor is kind of filled with books, and we wait after they come in for 4 days before putting them back on the shelf. So it kind of involves not just the studio, but also those other factors mainly. But as far as just the studio, I'm all ears as far as ideas. And like I said, mainly it would be having less sessions, because when we have usually 12 a day, four spaces with 3 sessions a day, we would likely do something like, 1 session a day or something like that, like you mentioned, which might be nice because then you could just book one long day instead of having to piece together multiple 3-hour sessions.
Right, right. You know, as you're talking, I'm just thinking, going from a point where the lower floor is not open to the public, including the studios, and what the musicians would like to see is access to the studios.
Mm-hmm.
So not even getting into the specifics of what has to be done or problems need to be tackled to do it. What's the best process to go from that point A to point B? Like, is it, obviously having a meeting like this just to brainstorm,
Mm-hmm.
or do we identify, here's the reasons why we shouldn't be using the studio, and then attacking each reason, like with, well, here's what you can do to negate that, so that's not a risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've eliminated those risk factors, then you can still ask yourself, well, is it still the right thing to do to open it? Because just because the risk factors are gone, maybe it's still not right to open
Mm-hmm.
it. But just the process of going from not open to open, and I'm not an expert at that kind of thing. I wonder, what should we do? Because that is having access to the studio. Our band was using it before, and it was a great asset for us. And not to be selfish, but that's where I'd like to get to. And
Oh, definitely.
I don't know what the photography and video people, how to fit that all together.
Right. And we're actually, no, you're right. It is such a great space. And that's what our goal is, to get it back up and running. Right now, I'm actually in the studio right now, and we're considering the possibility of doing some renovations right now while we have the ability to do so, and make it to where you can access the video studio separately. And so creating a little alcove or a little hallway so you can get in there separately. So those are some things that we're working on in the meantime.
So the issue with the books being stored down there, to me, I look at where people are catching COVID and where the risk seems to be. And again, I'm not the expert on it, but that doesn't bother me. And the fact that it doesn't bother me still, that doesn't mean like, oh, well, then it's okay to let him down there then, just because it doesn't bother me. That's not
Right.
That's not the deciding factor. But books over there, I think, pose a very minimal risk.
Yeah. No, you have a very reasonable outlook on it, and I'm gonna plan on talking to the tech coordinator and the library director about it soon.
One of the things you mentioned was microphones, and I think that is probably, as far as contact surfaces, to my mind, that's the highest risk thing, is the microphones.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if a possible solution for that isn't, the old-fashioned wind socks, which could be taken off and washed and sanitized, and so that nobody's having contact with the metal surface of a microphone at all.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm sure when we reopen, we'll do something like that for sure. We might get started here in just a minute. Takesha, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
I was just kind of asking the group here that we have assembled so far if they were looking to learn anything specific tonight. If you have any kind of application that you're working on, like trying to play guitar with 2 friends, or trying to record a choir, or trying to do a podcast, or is there anything specific that you were looking to find out?
Yeah, I'm actually the director of the Kansas University Gospel Choir, as well as my church choir. and we have been halted in regards to trying to figure this thing out on how, we could be able to do it. I know with the church, we were doing live streaming, it actually pre-recorded services, and then trying to stream it on Facebook. Now my pastor's moved to Zoom, doing live service via Zoom so everybody can see it, but we can't figure out how to stream it from the Zoom to the Facebook. I mean, it's just been so many barriers, and I don't know what to do. Like right now, we're for the Kansas University Choir, we haven't even started because I don't know how to make this work. They have a mandate right now. You can't really go in the buildings and sing. You have to be 6 feet apart, and those rooms are not as big, and singing by itself is a risk. So unless you're outside, I don't know what else to do. So I'm interested in knowing what you guys are proposing.
Okay, yeah, a choir is definitely a very challenging. It's a very challenging thing for sure. It's probably the hardest thing to do. I am gonna go ahead and. Yeah, I was glad to get your input there. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get into it. I'm not sure if it'll solve your choir problem, but I think it'll at least just give you some more information about some of the technical tools out there that you might be able to use to make things work for you.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, it'll just give you a little bit more context and a little bit more just knowledge of what's possible. There's a lot of mystery around online music collaboration. You see these videos online of people playing together, and it's a little confusing how they're pulling that off. So I'm going to go through some stuff here. Let me share a Google Doc with everyone, and I'm going to use that to go through some various services. Let me get that pulled up.
That's what I was interested in, was the people being able to jam together on the internet if there's any possible way.
And I remember you had asked that previously, Daryl, and so I've been thinking about you over the summer and when I was doing this research. So in the chat here, I've just pasted the link to a Google Doc. Hopefully everyone can click on that and see the document. I tried to make it available to everyone with the permissions and everything. Can anyone see that?
I'm not seeing on the screen.
Yeah, there's
I'm still just viewing.
If you click on a chat, there's a chat bubble at the bottom of the screen, I believe. And if you click on that, it kind of pops out a chat window.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, can you see that? Okay.
I don't see a chat bubble.
You may be in, I'm not a Zoom expert, but you may be in maybe a full screen mode or something. If you kind of hover your mouse over the screen, when I do that, it comes up with some options at the bottom like security and share screen and participants. And
I got participants, share content.
Click on those 3 dots in the corner, and then it'll show you the drop down for the chat.
Okay, chat 2.
Yep, he shared 2 different things. So if you click on the word chat, it'll bring up both things that he shared.
Okay, I see a pretty long link there, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. It looks a little bit different, I think, on my screen. Yeah, so this is just, this document is, it's pretty comprehensive. So it may be a little more than we can get into in one evening, but I think it would be nice to have it to refer back to in the future for everyone. Number one, these are, you never know the technical ability of and the tech savviness of people in our programming like this at the library. So it may or may not be obvious, some of the things that I say, but first of all, if you're trying to do online music collaboration over the internet, your internet connection is very important. And so that can be influenced by several factors, and obviously can get pretty complex, but it's ideal if you're trying to Zoom or you're trying to use some of these sites that I'm about to show you. It's ideal if you connect your computer to the internet using an Ethernet cable and it's hardwired in, which a lot of people don't do that. They actually just connect wirelessly using Wi-Fi, which is great for, just general email and surfing the web. But when you're trying to send high quality audio and video over the internet, it's ideal to connect with an Ethernet cable. And if you can't do that, you can, what I had to do at the beginning of quarantine was upgrade my router at my house. I didn't realize it was about maybe 8 years old. And so it was doing fine until I really tried to do a lot of video conferencing, and then I had to go purchase another router, unfortunately. Not the most fun purchase, but it made a big difference in my internet speed wirelessly. So yeah, I have basically 3 services here that I've found. I've been doing a lot of research, and kind of the main way I'm envisioning this program is saving you all from having to do this research, because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of, how it can be. You end up in an internet forum reading about some technical thing, and then your whole day is gone. So hopefully I can save you some time. But here on my document here, the first application for high quality audio over the internet, like collaborating with people over the internet, is to do an interview or a podcast. Now, a lot of people have used the studio for that in the past, and podcasts are really, really popular and gaining in popularity. But if you just use a Zoom call like we're doing right now, and you record your Zoom call, which we are also doing right now, we're recording this so I can post it on our Sound and Vision YouTube later. But the audio isn't really very great. It's okay for talking and we can hear each other, but if you're posting it as a podcast and someone's listening just to the audio, it becomes apparent that the audio quality isn't really that great. Because these programs like Zoom, they're actually doing noise cancellation in the background, and they're doing some automatic, like if you have a car honking outside, it'll try to take it out of the background automatically, which is kind of good, but it can also make it sound pretty crummy just in general, because it has a lot of artifacts from doing that. So,
Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's people
Sure.
waiting in the waiting room.
oh,
I sent
thank
you a chat message.
okay.
You just click at the bottom with the waiting room, and then you can let them enter.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem.
I haven't done many waiting rooms myself. Let's see here.
I'm watching on my iPad, and I'm not seeing any waiting room. I can't, apparently I don't see some of the things you're seeing.
Well, thanks for that heads up. Let me see if I can access that.
My minister of music from the church just messaged me and said she was in the waiting room.
Okay. How do I let them in the waiting room? In from the waiting room? Do you know?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Do you know how I let them in from the waiting room?
If you go down to participants at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
it should say that somebody's waiting. You don't.
I see 5 participants, but I don't see anyone. It doesn't say anyone's waiting.
Okay. Under more, is there anything in the way? Are you the host?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the host?
Yes.
You are the host?
Mm-hmm.
She's waiting in there. She said.
If you'd like to send her the link to the email, that might work as well. Let's see here.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get this taken care of real quickly.
No problem. Sorry about that. I'm
Oh,
sorry to
no.
interrupt you.
Oh, no, not at all. It's hard to do all these things at once, isn't it? Okay. I'm just gonna post the link to this Zoom in the chat, and if you have communication with them, then you can send them the link, and they should be able to access it using this link. Can anyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you can send in that link and it'll work. I just unfortunately don't see any waiting room notifications anywhere unless I'm missing it. Because I definitely want them to take part if they want to.
Right.
Okay. So this first site is called CleanFeed, and CleanFeed is the simplest of these options here. And so I may not spend too long if the people in the meeting aren't looking to do podcasts, but for podcasting and for getting high quality audio over a Zoom call, it's a good option. And so I have a little video I wanted to show you all just about how CleanFeed works, just kind of the real basics. It's just 2 or 3 minutes long. 1 second here. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
Can't hear it though.
Really? Shoot. Can everyone else not hear it?
I think
Correct.
you have to enable your audio.
Okay, I thought I
There's
did
a
that.
button on-
All righty, 1 moment. Okay. I'm going to go back to the beginning and see if this will work.
I wanted to kind of just walk through the web page here. So I've got Chrome open here. CleanFeed currently only works in Google Chrome, so you need to install that web browser if you don't already have it on your computer. They have 2 different versions of the service. The one that we're using is the free version, and you can see that they advertise that it's available for producers, podcasters. Pretty easy to use as long as you set up your inputs and outputs correctly on your computer. And here they've got a little comparison of the standard version versus the pro version. And you can see that both of them offer high quality audio, both of them offer recording in the web browser, and both of them you can do basically unlimited conferencing with any number of connections. It's very easy to actually get started with CleanFeed. If you click the Get Started button, you just fill in a couple pieces of information like your name, email address, and then choose a login name and a password. I've already done that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and just log in to my CleanFeed Studio, and I'll have Bob join me in there. So let's log in from my side here. CleanFeed wants to use my microphone. I will allow that. And I'm just going to configure a couple options here before we get the session started. All I do is I click Connect. I'll just type in Bob's name. I would then type in his email address and then click Invite. Now Bob already has an email invitation from me, so let me switch over. And we have a remote connection to Bob's screen here. So Bob, why don't you go ahead and on your end, we see that Bob has an email there from me. And all he's going to do is click that connect button, or he's just going to copy and paste that link into his Chrome browser to open up a connection into my CleanFeed Studio. And again, CleanFeed is asking to use his microphone. And now it looks like Bob is in the CleanFeed Studio. Okay, Bob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can once I turn the volume up a little bit here.
Okay. So Bob is now joining from CleanFeed, and you might have noticed a little bit of difference there in terms of the audio quality over the call that we had open. Bob, how's it sounding to you?
A whole lot better than what we had a little bit ago, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, the audio quality is pretty good.
Alrighty. Okay. So yeah, that's CleanFeed, and I can go over just a few details of that. It's a little, it's a simple option just for, the best use of it is just high quality voice over the internet, and it's free, and it just needs the Chrome browser. And as you see, it's pretty easy to use. So that's always good. Does anyone have any questions about that or think that might be useful to them? If not, we can keep going.
That wouldn't work for, people singing together, right?
No, yeah. If that's what we're interested in as a group, I can kind of make my way to that part more quickly, because problem number 3 here is kind of what we're working towards. I miss jamming with my friends.
Was the CleanFeed that, because you said that it'll help with the audio quality of being able to sing via online and everything. I thought that you could, aren't you able to use that for the choir then?
Well, yeah, you could have a choir and they could sing, but if you had, let's say you had 20 people and they were all using CleanFeed, first of all, that's a really good question. I've tried to learn all the details about all these services. I'm not sure how many people can use that at one time, if it's limited with that free version or not. But the problem with a choir is if everyone's on their own computer, the internet just introduces an amount of delay that you can't get rid of. So it's called latency, is what they call it. And so everyone is on their computer, and then everyone's when they hear the music and when their singing is heard by you is all going to be off a little bit. And that's really the number one problem with all this kind of stuff, is that it's the sync, they call it. The audio sync is never right, and it makes you really appreciate how easy it is in person. We take it for granted, don't we? But I think this third one I'm going to get to might be really interesting to you all. The second option I have here is called Audio Movers. Now, I may not go too deep into this one. I had a little video for it, but I think I may not show it because this is a little bit more of a technical, depending on the people that showed up to this meeting. This one's a little bit more of a technical plug-in. So you put it inside of what a plug-in is you have a digital audio workstation on a computer when you're making a recording. And so Audio Movers is a program inside of that program. So I'll share my screen real quick and show you what it looks like. But it's mostly useful for musicians that are working on recordings with one another. So let's see here. This is my digital audio workstation here that's open on the computer. It's called Studio One, and this is what we use in the Sound and Vision Studio a lot. And so if you can see my mouse, these lanes, these tracks here, this track and this track here, you can make multiples of these. You can make many, many tracks and have multiple instruments and vocals and all kinds of stuff. But right now I have a drum loop going up here, and you can use this plug-in, is what they call it, it's called Audio Movers Listen To, and you can insert the plugin on the master output, and it looks like this. And this is really nice if you're working on recordings with people, because you can put the plugin on the master output, and you can log in. You have to create an account like everything in the world. And then you name your session, and you copy the link, and you send them the link over an email or a GChat, just kind of like we're doing with the Zoom link. And you can make it really high quality if you want, or you can do a lower quality. And then you actually click. I'm logged out for some reason. I'm gonna show you a photo real quick of what it looks like. Well, it's actually not super important. You just click begin transfer right here, and then my music that's coming out of the digital audio workstation software, it plays, and they can click on that link and they hear the music in their internet browser, high quality. So let's say that you were working on a song. A good example of this one would be working on a mix or working on a recording, and your bandmate can't be there. You could install this plugin, send them the link, and then they could listen to high quality audio out of their internet browser while you FaceTime or you Zoom at the same time. So then they can see what you're doing on your screen, and they can give you feedback. So if you're recording a guitar part, they could say, I don't like that part. Why don't you try that a little differently? And you can kind of work together in that way. So they're hearing a high quality feed from your audio software.
Jim, can they then record a track onto that?
I have a video that I can send you that gets into that. Yes, I think that is possible. It's with all of these, with these type of solutions like this, like the Audio Movers plugin, it gets into the specifics of routing, like how your signal is being routed through your computer, and then it's going to this track on the screen, and then it's coming to the browser. And so, and making sure everyone can hear it. So in a situation like you're asking about, I think it is possible with Audio Movers. There is actually a send plugin and a return plugin. So if you have the send and they have the return, they can hear your audio workstation through their audio workstation, and then you can do vice versa. But it does get pretty complicated to route it. So I have a video that I was going to talk about, but it really it's difficult to talk about it in a limited amount of time because it's just a lot of routing, really. But I think you can, and you should take a look at it. Yeah.
Is there a latency latency problem there?
Yeah, that is not real time. It's more like they have in Audio Movers, they have a drop down for the latency. And what you can do is you can connect via Zoom or FaceTime or something like that. And then in Zoom, you can actually see how much latency your video connection has. And so it might be like 1 second. And then you can go into Audio Movers and you can make your latency 1 second. So they're both behind by 1 second, but it's okay because your video and your audio are synced up for the person that's listening to you. Again, this is a pretty difficult topic to talk about, and there are probably people that are a little bit better at explaining it than I am, but you can't jam in real time with this particular plugin because it's going to be a second delayed each time it goes through it. But if it's just a matter of me showing someone what I'm doing on my computer and then them having feedback for me, or vice versa, then that's kind of what this one is good for. So you can record back and forth. You can work together back and forth, but you can't play live back and forth. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, let's see how many windows I can have open on my screen and still make sense of it. Okay. So yeah, this third one I think is what maybe you all are going to be a little bit more interested in. It's a program called Jam Kazam. And this is what I was really trying to find, was something that would allow people to like have a remote band practice or a remote choir practice. And this is the closest that I've seen to it. So there's actually two options on this document that I made. There's Jam Kazam and there's Session Wire. Session Wire is a little more professional level. You do get a free month, but then it's $15 per month. So it's pretty geared towards professional audio producers that are doing it for a living. And it's really nice, but it's actually pretty difficult to set up because, again, it deals with a lot of audio routing within your software. And if you don't get it just right, then it doesn't work. But that's one that's really good to be aware of. But I think I'm going to focus on Jam Kazam for everyone here. And what I'll do is I'll just walk through this on the screen. I'll read these bullet points for you. It's a standalone app. So you download it from their site, and it's an app that goes on your desktop. And it's designed for real-time jamming. I guess that's the best word for it, jamming. Real-time playing music with one another. And it uses a click track to keep everyone in sync. Now, they actually have a video on their site about how this works. I don't think it's really that important to know exactly how it works, but I tried it out with Joel, my colleague here at the library that helps me manage the studio, and it worked. And we were playing guitar and playing drums in different rooms on different computers. Now, we were in the same building and we were on the same network, so the latency might have been a little bit less, but it was really nice and it worked really well. So let me show you what that looks like. And if anyone wants more information later about this specific program, I can try to answer questions. And there's always a lot of little details. Share my screen again. So this is what Jam Kazam looks like. You download the app and you create an account, and mine's already logged in here. And there's a lot you can do with it. There's options for jamming with strangers. Like you can make a session and you can just be playing your instrument, and then people can wander in and play with you, and you can collaborate like that. I think a lot of people would probably be wanting to just jam and rehearse with their friends. So what we do is go to create session. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, actually, I invited myself yesterday when I was testing this out, and I have my personal email called Jim Barnes, and I emailed myself an invitation to be a friend, and then I accepted it, and now I have a friend over here, and that's myself. And I can create a session. And this is where there's quite a bit of text, and it's going to be a little hard to see. I'll just walk through it as best I can without taking forever. You can quick start a solo session, just private session for you practicing and testing your equipment. And you can quick start an open session, which would allow other people to join and wander in, because they try to make it like a social media type thing where people join and they're all jamming together. I'm not sure how much it's caught on, but or you can quick start with friends. And that's the option that I think would be most useful. So I'll click that. And all right, so this is where, to be totally honest, you get a lot of audio going through the computer. And my audio just changed. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm actually hearing a totally different sound in my headphones now. So it may be coming through Zoom and then going into this program. I'm not exactly sure. And that's where it often takes some experimentation, especially if you have multiple programs using your microphone and your speakers and stuff. So this is my audio track here, and my mic is coming in. And you can there's a mixer here. There's, let's let's see, and then you invite musicians here. And so this is where I would find myself, my other email account here. And I add selected friends and invite. So I'm actually going to run out of the room real quick, and I'll be right back. I'm going to go accept this on another computer. Let's see if I see myself in there. What it did on the other account is it had a notification at the bottom right for me to join, and then I went in there and I joined it. I think something may be wrong over there on that other computer. A little setting. Oh, it just came through. So this is what it looks like. You have me and my friend, and you can set up multiple tracks and multiple instruments and hear each other. And the most important part of this is you have a metronome here. And now with a choir, choirs don't often sing to a metronome, but this program has to use a metronome in order to keep everyone in sync. So I think the way it works is everything has to be delayed, let's say by 1 second, because that's how long it takes to put audio through the internet and video. And it just delays it more. Like it will delay everyone by 2 seconds. And then the metronome is like 2 seconds behind, and it just makes everyone 2 seconds behind. So everyone is sort of behind, but you don't realize it because it sounds right in your head. It's actually a real confusing thing to explain, but the metronome helps sync everyone together. And when I tested it out, it worked. It would be really difficult to do that right now over Zoom, but it worked really well. And there's a little, I can see what it sounds like here. Couldn't open metronome. I guess that's a little thing that I would need to fix on my other computer over there. I haven't seen that before. And so, yeah, and then you can play and you can hear one another. Now, what you do with this is, I think, the sky's the limit. You could do a lot with it. Does anyone have any questions so far?
No,
Can
but
you
this
do-
looks,
Go ahead.
it just looks intriguing. It'd be something that a couple of our bandmates haven't been able to hook up with us ever since COVID. And if this worked out, it might be just the thing to get us kind of back together.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make multiple tracks. For instance, one of the more technical parts of setting this up, which is not very fun to go over a Zoom call, but I think it's the settings, maybe.
Jim, I'm wondering too about input from the other friends or musicians that you invite. Is it necessary to have like a high quality microphone, or is it something that they would just be able to do from their device, speaker and microphone?
Yeah, I mean, I think like most things, it's preferable to have a better microphone, but it'll work over your laptop microphone. Yeah, you can just choose which, that's what I was actually about to look for, was where you set up your gear. Let's see here. Under my profile, I think there's multiple ways to get to it, and I don't know this software inside and out, but it says audio gear here. And so this is going to make me leave my session. I'll click OK. Can everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So this screen is kind of the not fun routing part. You can select whether you're using your built-in microphone or you can add new gear, and you
Okay.
You can connect right now I have a USB microphone also plugged into this computer. That's what I would really recommend for your type setup with choirs. Is there's a lot of USB microphones out there, and they can be anywhere from about $50 to about $150. So they're not too cheap, or they're not too expensive either. So and they can just plug in to the USB of your computer, and you don't need an audio interface like with knobs and all that stuff. So right now, I'll stop my screen sharing real quick. I have this USB mic. This is an example of a really common USB mic. I'm not using it right now, but it just happens to be on the desk, and it just plugs in with a USB right into your computer. So what you do is plug that in, and then something like JamKazam would recognize that, and then you could select that as your input source, and it would sound a lot better than your computer. Yeah. And so like right now I'm using headphones because like I was saying, Zoom tries to, I'm sitting in a quiet room right now because I'm in a studio, but a lot of people are sitting outside with birds or the street noise and, their family and stuff like that. So Zoom tries in the background. There's a setting in Zoom where you can actually go into the advanced sound settings and you can turn these settings off, but it's trying to cancel out the noise in the background. And that's one of the things that makes Zoom sound so funky. It's kind of going like that in the background. But also what it's doing is it's keeping the microphone from hearing the speakers of your computer, because you're talking into the microphone, but you're also listening out of the speakers, and they can't hear one another, or it creates a feedback loop. Then it goes in the mic and out the speakers, and in the mic and out the speakers. And so that's what feedback is. And so it's trying to keep that from happening constantly too. So that's why it helps to wear headphones and to talk into a microphone, because then this microphone can't hear what's coming out of my headphones. Does that make sense? So that helps. That then you can, once you do that, you can turn off those little audio settings in Zoom, and they're just in the sound settings, and it says advanced, and there's a couple of check boxes in there, and that's where they are. And then you can get the highest quality sound and input and output.
Hey, Daryl, you guys started asking a question, and then I had a question, and I kind of cut you off. Did you still have something?
No, but thank you. Go ahead.
Well, Jim, when you were testing this with, I think what you said, Joel, and you guys had the click track going, I'm assuming, did you find the click track like super necessary to keep you together? And what would happen then if the song you're playing has time signature changes?
That's a good question. Time signature changes are always tough for click tracks. That might be a question that I might have to get back with you about, because that's like the real world, what you run into. It had a little option for a file, and I wonder, because I think another thing you can do with this program, now I'm getting into the realm of, I haven't used it enough to really know it backwards and forwards, but I think you can play along with the track. And if you can play along with the track, then you could potentially create a custom click track, like create a beat that changes time signatures. And then if you're both playing along with that, then maybe that would work. But I'm not totally sure. But they do have a thing called Jam. They call it Jam Loops or Jam Beats or something like that. I'm gonna get out of this window here. I was gonna walk. I'm sorry.
But you felt pretty tied to the click track though in order to stay together?
Yes, absolutely. With the way that I tested it, the click track is essential for staying together. And you can actually record it. And we recorded it, and Joel was playing guitar and I was playing drums, and it says record. I can actually just share my screen again here.
That was going to be my question, Jim, was how do you record, especially with the choir, and you having all the different entities on your screen, your friends, your guests, and everything like that? How do you record for us to be able to use it for a service?
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to share my screen again. with the Jam Kazam, and then we'll just kind of keep poking around in here. The new gear, this is what I was going over earlier. I may not spend too long on this, but this is how you set up with your USB microphone. It has a video to show you about it, but we're not going to watch that right now. See, this is where it gets a little technical, and it takes a little kind of testing out to get it all set up. But right now, I would choose my input device. And see, I have a lot of stuff plugged into this computer. That's kind of why it gets kind of complicated on this setup. But it says Yeti stereo microphone. That was the silver microphone I was holding up. So I'm not gonna click it right now because I don't want to change my audio settings on this computer. But you would click that, and then you would select your output device as your internal output or your headphones. And then that's kind of, I'm going to click cancel on all this, but that's how you set it up in Jam Kazam. And then it makes a little profile of your gear and you activate it. I think this interface is pretty nice, but it takes a little getting used to. I'm going to see if I can go back to that recording screen and show you how to do that.
How much does the Jam Kazam cost?
It is free, I believe. So that's good, but hopefully they stay around. Let me look real quick at my document because I try to make a note of that. Yeah, it's free, which is good. There's a GoFundMe here at the top of the screen. Okay, so if I'm jamming with my friend and we're using our metronome, I'm not sure what this is about. So I'm in here in the studio after the library is closed, and they may have a setting where the internet doesn't work as well after the library is closed. I'm not quite sure. There's this folder right here, recorded audio, and there's jam tracks and audio files. Now, I don't really know what this is, but it looks to me like you could upload an audio file and sing with it and play with it. And I don't know how that would work with the metronome. I haven't tested that out. So, but they have some really good videos on their site. And so this Google Doc has a ton of links in it. So it links you to their site. And then there's a link here on the Google Doc for Jam Kazam audio interface basics. And, yeah, each of these links is just a different video. And so let me just actually go to their YouTube, because I'll just send their YouTube page to everyone. They have good tutorial videos.
In this video, we'll walk you through the basics of what.
Okay. I'm just going to copy this link here and send that to everyone.
Can you put the Google Drive, the Google thing in there again? For some reason, when I switch to my laptop, I don't see it anymore.
Sure.
I have it on my cell phone, but
okay. Oh, I got you.
Thank you.
So I'll pop that down in the chat. It looks like those two links kind of look like one link in the chat, but the top line is a YouTube video and the bottom line is the Google Doc. So most of these links in the Google Doc take you to videos. So you could kind of just go to the YouTube video, then go to the YouTube channel of this company. They have pretty good videos to show you everything that you might need to know about it. But I'm trying to think, it would be the Acquire honestly is the most challenging scenario, because you're going to want to have so many people joining it. And I'm not sure, what I'm not sure of is if Jam Kazam has a limit to how many people can join. You would kind of imagine the screen where we were looking at the tracks and everything would get really full if you had like 20 people on there. But it might be possible. But I'll need to look that up. Okay, I'm going to share my screen one more time and show you the recording. Don't want to lose my train of thought here. Okay, so we're in our main window here where I can see me and the person I'm jamming with, and it just says record up here. So I click on that. Oh, there's also a video option. So there's a lot of stuff in here. Video, and that shows a video of me. And then if the person I'm jamming with clicks on their video, I can see a video of them. And it's actually kind of funny because you can make it really wide. That's what Joel and I were doing while we were jamming. And then, yeah, you record. And we were kind of skeptical that it would work as well as it does. And we had good luck with it. Now, it can get a little frustrating if you're having trouble setting up your microphone and your headphones and all that stuff. But once you get that set up, just record audio only or record audio and video, and then you start recording, and I don't think it'll really, make any sound or do anything right now, but when you stop recording, it gives you a preview window here. You can name your recording. Honestly, we named our recording and it didn't call it that in the files, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But I don't want it to be public. I don't want just the random people on JamKazam necessarily to check it out, but you can select a genre. They have a ton of genres here. And you can preview it and then you save it. And so I think it makes you fill all of this out. And once you save it, it goes to, on the Mac, it goes to your music folder it goes in your music folder under JamKazam, and it's kind of a long file name, and you can find it there. And it's actually a strange file type. It's a .ogg or something I actually wasn't familiar with. But you can when you click on it, you can open it up in Audacity. Now, I know that's like another layer of complexity to it, but I'm going to unshare my screen. In the Google Doc that I shared, it has a link to Audacity. So Audacity is a free audio software that's available for Mac and Windows. It's the most common free audio software. It's real basic, but it works really well. And so what it looks like happens is JamKazam will, when you do a recording, it'll make a Audacity file, and then you can open it up in Audacity and listen to it. And it doesn't, it put all of the audio together in one track for Joel and I, but actually it did have, I think it had separate tracks as well. It had a separate track for me and Joel, and then a track with us both playing together. So that was pretty cool. I know it's a lot of stuff, but I thought this one might be the most interesting for us with what everyone's wanting to do here. Any questions about that?
I'm interested in that your experience with the click track there. I mean, like, I would. Is there? What happens if you don't use the click track? I mean, like, if one of you just starts playing along with it, and you're just playing like you usually do.
That's like a really good question. We actually used the click track, but I haven't tried it like that. Yeah, you should. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't work, and I hate click tracks, but that's me personally.
Yeah, I know. Everyone does. Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a drummer, so I like him as much as anyone, and I don't like him either. I tell everyone about click tracks because I do a lot of recording, and you kind of have to use them a lot. But I tell people, embrace the click track, be friends with it. And then if you view it as a friend and not an enemy, it becomes a little bit better. But it's not fun. So yeah. Now, yeah, it's hard for me to know all the answers to these questions. I was trying to learn as much as I could, but I don't know what happens if you don't play with the click track.
Yeah, just have to try it.
Yeah, I think you could give it a try, and it's easy enough to download the JamKazam from their site, install the app, and if you can get it set up with the correct input and output from your computer, depending on what setup you have, that's about it. And then you kind of just poke around in there, and once you get to that screen where you can invite your friends and they can join, then you can just Yeah, just have fun with it. In worst case scenario, you call each other on the phone and try to figure out what's going on, when it
But
doesn't.
Jim, when you were playing drums with him then, okay, so if you hit the snare drum, are you hearing the snare sound like in real time with no latency?
Yeah, I think it didn't
Okay, so
have latency.
if you're hearing your drum in real time when you hit it, no latency,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're hearing, let's say for example, if he's playing bass or whatever, if you're hearing his sound in real time with no latency, and it seems like you could just close your eyes and play together without a click track.
It does.
And
You're right. It gets to be a little bit of a brain teaser for sure. So you might be right. One thing to say about the click track is when you're playing, you hear the click track, but then when you listen to the recording, it's not in there. It just doesn't record it.
Right.
So it's just
Did you
gone.
record your session with the
I
other
did.
guy?
It's really short. We were kind of pressed for time yesterday, but I can let everyone listen to
Can
it.
we hear a little bit of it to see how it synced?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see what it sounds like. It's not very impressive, but I'll see.
That doesn't matter.
And I wasn't really playing drums. I was more just tapping on the desk and stuff because we were in these little suites out here. And so he brought a guitar in and I just kind of played on my legs and played on the desk. And we didn't do it in the full studio with this big audio interface in here because I was trying to figure out the way it would be for more simple setups because most people don't have a whole 16 channels. Okay, I'm going to look for this file real quick. Okay. I'm going to check it out here. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So this is Audacity. And so what happens when you look at your recordings, I guess I could share. I'm going to share the way it looks when you look at your recordings.
Just to make sure I understand, Jim, every time you record, it's going to load it in Audacity, and that's where you play it from.
The way it looks is this. It's a little funky looking. It made a long folder, even though we titled it. It made a long folder with a lot of numbers. Can everyone see this Finder window?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it has several files in here. So I was kind of poking through them and seeing what they were. I think we did 2. I think that might be why there's an odd number in here. But this one that says mix was the one that that I'm listening to here. So it's a .ogg file. Now I could probably look up what that is, but I'm an audio engineer and I've never heard of that type of file, so I'm not sure what it is. But when I double clicked it, it automatically opened Audacity, which is on my computer already. So it may be able to open up in other programs, but Audacity, I would really recommend it because it's free and it works really easily on all computers, and it's the most common free music recording software, and it works really good on Mac and Windows. So when I double clicked it, it popped open Audacity. I could probably open it with other types of audio software too. That's a question I don't quite know.
What is the WAV file that shows up there?
I'll let you listen here to what it did. This is us in our little tiny jam.
Can't hear it.
No audio?
No.
Oh man, that's disappointing. Our screen sharing was going so well.
But I bet it was really good.
It's not great.
Couldn't hear any mistakes.
Well, huh. Okay, well let me just poke around for a second. Bear with me. Still nothing? Okay. I'm trying to play with these different audio outputs in Audacity to see if one of them might be the one we need. I tried this one. Okay. I can't even hear that. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, but it's just a, let's see if I can try anything else. There we go. That makes sense. Maybe this will work.
Yep.
The one called Zoom audio device. That was the desk. And then there's the drum roll to finish it off.
That was good.
So that was, like I said, it was a very small test, and we could have taken it in the studio and like actually put mics on the drums and stuff. We were kind of running out of time yesterday, but it was actually pretty nice. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
not at all.
Were you able to either judge the volume as you were recording, or after you recorded, were you able to master it all?
The volume is mostly, I'm going to share again here. The volume is mostly on the screen in Jamkazam, I think. We didn't need to change the volume too much. The way it works is you hover over this little volume button and it gives you a slider. That's kind of the basic way. So you do that kind of as you're going, and then the mixer. I'm not sure what it's saying. There's a lot of text on some of these buttons, which is good and bad because it's a lot going on the screen, but it'll kind of teach you what you're doing as you go, which is pretty nice. I think maybe it's telling me that my friend Jim Barnes in the other room is actually created this session and not me, which I think I may have done that before the Zoom call. I might have created it on the other computer. And so it doesn't let me do the whole mixer from this view. Maybe like one person has the master mixer, the person that makes the session. But yeah, we didn't mess with any volumes really, and it just kind of sounded pretty good in our headphones. And then and then the recording was just the way it sounded in our headphones, which was pretty nice.
Jim, one question. Now that you have that track that you just did, which is really good, are you able to upload it and record something else on top of it, like vocals on top of it? Now, are you able to use that one like as a click track almost, you know?
That's exactly what I was wondering myself. Yeah.
And record on top of it.
That's exactly what I was wondering too. So if I'm going to share my screen again. Now this, I just don't know. Unfortunately, I wish I knew exactly. I was trying to learn about everything under the sun.
Since that's an audio file in Audacity, it's almost sure that you could do more with that in Audacity, whether it's adding more tracks to it or anything like that. I can almost guarantee it. I don't know if, like I use Pro Tools. I don't know if you can convert it to Pro Tools and me start working on it. It may have that capability too, but almost certainly you could do more with it in Audacity. And I think Renita asked about the volume thing. If you're not familiar or you become familiar with recording software, the input volume and the playback volume are the two easiest things to work with. It gets way more complicated after that, but that you won't have a problem with.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I'm really,
one of y'all can we call when we have the problems with trying to get this recorded for the choir? You know, somebody can come over and, do this.
I know that's all audio is just a bunch of volume knobs, but it really adds up. What I'm wondering in this JamKazam interface is what this is, and I haven't tested this, but it says recorded audio. And so if I click on audio file, or actually recording, let's try recording. Open a recording. Oh, I don't know what, well, let's do it. No, that was what I did earlier. Let's try audio file. And I'm going to see if I can find that file and just kind of see what happens here. I don't think anything really great's going to happen, but I'm just curious. I have a lot of stuff on this drive. I'm having trouble finding this. What I'm trying to do is import that recording, but I saved it on this drive that has a ton of stuff on it. 1 second. I'll go ahead and stop my screen for a second. Let's see if I can get this done in about 60 seconds. Yeah, okay. Let's go with that. Okay, so I just clicked. Okay, I just clicked on audio file, and I went and found that mix file, that .ogg file on my computer, and it's right here.
Can't hear it.
Can you hear that?
No.
Yeah, now it's getting into the realm of a little bit more complicated. I don't know exactly how the audio is routing to Zoom, but yeah, this is the audio file. I could hear it. So, so if I press close, I was wondering if it would kind of pop into here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you can, I'm sorry that you can't hear it, but you can press play, and then do you see the little green lights going? It is playing. And then I think you could play along to that audio file with your...
Jim, can you open it? Can you open it up again how you had it with the track files? With the 2 tracks, you know, the Audacity
window. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
Okay, so isn't there a way here to add tracks?
Oh yeah, you can add tracks into Audacity.
Okay, so I think she was asking if she could add on to that. And so this is where
sure.
you could do that from.
Oh yeah.
Just add tracks here.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I was unclear about that question. There's two questions here. The first question would be whether you could make a recording using JamKazam and then play along with it in JamKazam. And it looks like you might be able to do that. And then this is, you made a recording in JamKazam, and then when you double click on it, it opens up in Audacity. And then once you're in Audacity, you can do anything to it. You could, you could record a whole, 10 different instruments over the top of it, because it's just a computer audio software at that point. It's not, doesn't have to do with the online collaboration anymore.
Okay, so for people who don't, I'm not into all of that stuff like you guys are. So my thoughts were, if I was to record say me and Sister Renita, we were recording a song together on your track, okay? And then we had one person missing. We needed an alto. They weren't there. So we recorded everything using your track that you already did. Our voices are on there. Could we go in after we recorded that, upload that again into the Kazam, Jam Kazam, and add that alto person in there as well?
I think
or
so.
do I have to do that in Audacity?
That's I think so. I haven't done it exactly, but it looks like you can do that. And if you, yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's the short answer. There's different ways you could do it. I mean, you could also take that recording that you make from your jam, and you could email that recording to someone, and then they could load it into Jam Kazam themselves and just record it, like just jam over the recording. Like you could do it that way. Like you could send them the file, or you could, open up a session in Jam Kazam where you're both collaborating in real time and then load it in and try to do it that way. It looks like you can do that. And I'm sorry that I haven't tested that particular thing, but I don't know why I would have an audio file that you can play along with if you couldn't do that. So it looks really promising to me. I'm actually more than happy to kind of test this out a little bit tomorrow with like these specific questions and email you about it.
That would be great.
Yeah. I'm just going to, does everyone have my email, or I can put it in the chat? It's just jbarnes@lplks.org.
Sure, send me an email about what you find out too.
Okay. I'll try to send it to everyone. And if everyone wants to put their email in I think I have everyone's that emailed me for the Zoom link, obviously, but if you want to, if you don't think I have your email, you can just pop it into the chat box. Okay. I guess we could move on just a little bit, and we can kind of finish up here, but that was cool though, because I feel like we're actually answering some questions that people had, and it's, like I said, this stuff's pretty challenging to talk about. It's like one of those things like cooking or something. You just kind of have to do it a little bit to learn how to set it up and do it, once or twice, and be a little patient with it the first couple of times until it eventually becomes a little more comfortable.
One thing that's interesting, Jim, is that it seems better hearing it from you, who's not an expert on it, because when you get information from an expert, they talk so far over your head, you don't know what they're saying. I think it's better, it's productive this way.
I really, oh yeah. I mean, with the library and the studio here, it has really taught me, you just have, technology can be a real barrier for people because you have so many different levels that people are at it. And so, I agree. It's kind of, not talking over people's head is a total skill in itself. And you have to always try to remember that. But yeah, since I don't know it back the back of my hand, it comes easy to me right now. I'm looking farther down this video, and you all might be interested in this, or you might not be. This is another thing that people ask me about a lot. The next thing on the list is making a remote performance video. And if you watch like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or things, you'll see bands or groups. It could be like an a cappella group, and they make a video that's split screen with, 5 or more people on the screen, and they're singing and playing a song together. And I think you can actually do that with Jam Kazam. They say you can on their site. They kind of advertise it as such. I don't really think it's all that popular to use. I think the way people mostly do that, when they make a live performance video and they're all in their own home and they're all quarantined, and then they come together as a band to perform, and that's mostly just all done separately most of the time, I believe. So it seems like it's live, but it's not live. So what they did was they made a guide track, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like, let's say that one person just played and sang the song, and maybe they do it to a click track, and they just have like a a guitar and a vocal, and then they send that file to everyone, and then everyone plays over that file, recording themselves with audio and video, like a phone, and then they plug their microphone into their computer, and then they play their instrument over it, and then they all send the files back to one person, and then they compile everything, compile all the video and all the audio, and make that video. So it looks like it's live, but most of the time that isn't live of what you're seeing. It's sort of live because it looks live, but they didn't do it exactly at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I figured was happening too. But first, you'd hope that it was live, but then after a while you figured out, no, you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult than those videos make it seem. But like I said, that I just encourage everyone to look at the JamKazam because it's the best I've seen, and it seems really nice. I got a few other things here, a few other just services and apps. Those are probably not all that relevant to everyone, but they're just kind of honorable mention. And I wanted to mention that while the studio's closed, we're trying to start checking out AV materials, audiovisual materials. We've started kind of small with what you see here on this list, the VHS conversion kits and a slide scanner and a little camera and a cassette digitizer and lapel microphones. So we call it our digital tools collection. And so hopefully next week you'll be able to check out some of these items from the library that we usually only offer in the studio, but you can check them out for a couple of weeks and use them at home. And what I hope that we'll be able to move to, and this is not just for COVID and quarantine, this is also just for any time. What I'd love to have is for patrons to be able to check out microphones and maybe like a little mini recording studio. I think that'd be really cool for podcasting or for like simple recording. And I have a link to a couple of cool products down here that I'm hoping that we might get in the future. Like a little, one of them's a studio that it syncs to your phone, and then it has microphone inputs, but it also has a microphone. I'll just show you real quick. They were kind of running late on time, so if anyone needs to go, you totally can. I'm going to show you here. Can you see that screen, or did it not share that screen?
Yeah.
Is that still the Google Doc, or did it share the screen that I just opened?
Spire Studio, it says.
Yeah, like we're hoping to get something like this at the library where we can check this kind of thing out. It's a little, you can kind of see the picture of it there. It's like a little box, and you sync it to your phone, and then it's a high quality recording studio, and you can plug microphones in the back of it. And it's super easy to mix with. Actually, this little picture down here shows you kind of how it looks. It's pretty cool. So there's some little things like that we're looking at getting at the library that hopefully can help people out that don't have access to their studio anymore. Okay, am I forgetting anything? Any other questions?
I'm still interested. The part where you said that when you hit the desk, it was real time. You were hearing it in your headphones at the same time. So that's not where it's slowing everything down by a second.
Yeah.
No.
To be honest, I am a little confused exactly how it works. And I didn't watch like all of the videos. There's actually a 5-minute video explaining how the click track worked. I started to watch that this afternoon, and I didn't watch the whole thing. It's on the, I'm going to find it real quick. It's on the JamKazam's YouTube site.
I was wondering, Jim, on that same question, if because you guys were both plugged into the same hardware, it kept everything in time anyway, and it made the click track obsolete, and it wouldn't maybe work that way if it was two people in two different locations.
We were on two different computers. We were on two different computers that were across the hall from one another. And so in our studio here, we just went into 2 different booths and on 2 different computers with 2 different audio interfaces. So it wasn't across town or across the world, and that can affect your latency, but it was on 2 different systems. And yeah, I just like I'm sorry I can't answer those questions more technically because I think most people don't really care how it works as long as it does, you know.
It just seems too good to be true.
It does a little bit. It does. So we were actually using Wi-Fi too. We weren't plugged into the Ethernet, and I was just testing it out, and it actually worked. So I think if you have a really strong internet connection with Ethernet, it would actually work even better. But I just in the chat, I just linked to a video for the metronome. This is a 7-minute video explaining how the metronome works. They call it the distributed metronome. So that will, there's a reason why that's hard to explain. It might be actually offsetting the metronome in everyone's ears by the amount of latency it detects in their computers. I mean, it's a very confusing thing to explain. So, yeah, I can barely understand it, much less explain it, but it might be offsetting it for everyone just a little bit to try to keep everyone together, that kind of thing. And so when Joel and I were using it, the metronome was pretty much the same, but that we could hear it from the 2 rooms, but it might have been because our computers were so close and they were on the same network. That could have had to do with it.
Well, you had been sent the signal that goes to the internet from both of you, and then back to from one of you, and then back to the other. But so I mean, you're even though you're physically close, you're not using your local area network to do the transfer. You're still going up to the internet and back, just like if you were in 2 different homes.
Yep.
But you are right about it. I did read that it absolutely does not work past the continents. You know, if you go that big of a distance, then the speed of light, electricity comes into play, and you cannot do it to Australia or something.
Yeah, I've been reading the same thing too. I'm looking up real quick here if JamKazam has a number of participants limit, how many people can use it at one time. I'm just reading a little forum, and 12 to 24 piece groups are not available yet. Let's see how many people are available, how many people can use it at one time. This might be useful for you to know if you have a choir. I keep thinking about your choir. That's a tough situation.
I was going to ask you while you're looking that up, when you were just mentioning how when we see stuff like, I know I've seen a couple of videos on Facebook where we've seen the whole choir on the screen in the background, and it sounded almost like they were live, but you can tell that they're all in different locations because it looks like little Zoom windows everywhere on the screen. You stated that most of the time, like the director or whatever will send that file to each one of the members, and then they would record their sound on it and then send it all back. Do you know which program they're using for that though? Or is that something like Kazam, this JamKazam or something?
I think they could use any program they wanted. Like, so JamKazam is a internet jamming program, and Audacity that we're looking at is a recording program. So they could all be using Audacity maybe. It's just a simple program that records audio onto your computer. So the way that I would do a choir video like that, now I really wish I was the world's biggest expert on this. I don't think I am, but I have done videos like this in the past and produced videos like this. And the way that I would do it is, and the way that I think that most of them are done is you take the backing track, like the piano or the backing track, and then you send it to everyone, and then they listen to it in their headphones while they sing and record their singing into their computer. And so they sing into their computer, and then that records a file not of the backing track, because that's only in their headphones, just of them singing. So then they end up with a file of them singing. And then they send, you know, you have 24 people that send that file back to the director. And then they take all 24 of them and line them up in the computer, all lined up on the screen in a program like Audacity. And then it sounds like a choir. But, you know, as well as I've sang in choirs too, and it's not the same kind of singing by yourself. Now, it probably sounds, you know, somewhat similar by the time you line everyone up, but it's not the same experience, you know, and it wouldn't sound, people wouldn't be able to be in tune with each other as well and stuff. So that would be, it's a very different thing, but you could probably make it look pretty good. And I would be interested to see some of the ones that you've seen, because maybe I might have a little bit more insight if I could see them of how they did it.
I'll email them to you.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to try to help you figure it out, because I think you're really faced with one of the biggest challenges in town musically, for sure. Choirs are tough.
I can imagine doing sections. If you have like a number of participants that are available, like if it's 12 or whatever, you can have as many people as you can squeeze into one jam session at once, and then do it a couple more times before you get everybody all in there.
That's true. Yeah, it'd be a lot of kind of organization, but like if you had like half the tenors and then the other half of the tenors and half of the altos and the other, and you had broke it into groups like that, I could totally see that working. In this forum for Jam Kazam, this person is saying that the more people you have, the less well it works, which is not super surprising. And they're saying that like after 8, it doesn't work very well. So it seems like it's more like limited to like a band amount of people rather than a choir. And that might just be the limit of trying to sync that many computers together and just kind of running out of bandwidth or processing or whatever. All right. Please do email me though with questions, because right now the studio isn't open, so I have a little extra time to answer stuff like that, and I would love to help everyone figure out their individual situation, because it's all different. Everyone's situation is a little different these days. Any last questions?
Just thank you. You did a wonderful job, and it's just the stuff I needed to know. Thank you and everybody else that came. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot to know out there about technology and about all this stuff. So thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for the Zoom tips. And I'll make this recording available on our YouTube channel and tomorrow. And like I said, just email me with any questions and I'll do my best.
All right. Thanks for doing this, Jim.
You're welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
All right. Night.
All right.